Reinvent the phone.
Welcome to the bonus episode of Pinch to Zoom, episode 5. We are unpacking Samsung's Unpacked event. I'm Stetson.
And I'm still Gabe.
And let's just dive right into it. All right, Gabe, what are your immediate reactions of the Galaxy S10?
Whoa, squirrel over there. No, never mind. My immediate reaction, well, actually, I want to talk about the event first because, everyone wants to talk about the phones, and you can Google the phones and just look up all the specs and stuff, but I personally watched the full event. Did you watch the event? Or?
I didn't. I had class. I wasn't able to catch it, so I'm curious. Let's talk about this event. What you think
I
about
honestly
it?
think you missed a really good event.
What made this one good?
Well, it was, I don't know. It kind of felt like they actually had enough to announce. So many of these keynotes that even Apple was the originator, the OG keynote. You know,
Yeah, I love that.
with
Steve Jobs.
You can't.
He was the best.
That's in our intro because
He was the king of the keynotes. He had it was like the Steve Jobs, like the force field or something like that.
yeah,
I'm definitely saying that wrong, but he could capture
with his
people's
turtleneck, his jeans, and his white New Balance.
Yep, he rocked it. He engrossed people, and it was always. I love watching those. But Samsung apparently had a good keynote this time. So what?
It was a good keynote. I wouldn't. It's not like it's kind of like they do it differently, like they do their phones.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the same feel as an Apple. But watching it, they released how many different phones today? They had the Samsung Fold, the S10, S10 Plus, S10e, and then the S10 5G.
Oh wow.
So that's 5 different phones.
So this was a packed Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event.
So they were literally finally unpacking it. Yeah, it felt like finally they were delivering on the promise of like, we're holding this event, for stuff to happen, to like talk about big stuff. And usually it's like, oh, here's a new phone that has like a slightly higher megapixel camera.
Yeah, here's the same phone design. Here's a spec bump, and here's like an accessory to go along with it.
And here we got some celebrity to come in and like say some cool things. So boom, be happy.
And lights, music,
and it's $1,000 more. That's what it feels like all the time. But this one, they were talking about it because it's the 10th phone, so they were like kind of harking back the 10 years of the Galaxy phones, what we've built up to, and then what are we going to be going forwards. And I think we're on the line of where 5G is just coming in. We're on the line of these new foldable phones possibly. So it really felt like this was like a kind of a big deal. This
is a big event for Samsung. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't have the maybe the I don't know what the grandiose and like carefulness and like I don't know what the word is like the Apple events have.
I guess to me, I watched a little bit of it, some clips on YouTube. And for me, I felt like it lacked a little bit of enthusiasm from the audience. Like the announcer would make a comment about some amazing new feature, and the audience would be silent. They wouldn't know when to cheer, to be excited about something. And it was funny, they announced some feature relating to, I think, the hinge of the Galaxy Fold. And that was like, people didn't know when to clap. And then they announced like the colors, and people just went nuts. And it was just so weird to me.
Yeah, I think there was one of I was also watching for the diversity of like the presenters. They did a pretty good job of like, they had 3 or 4 female heads of the companies or like whatever divisions coming out to present. But one of them, she was like not having it, so she would just start clapping for when she wanted them to clap. It was probably a good thing because it let people know. But it didn't have that excitement of an Apple event where people are, they announce that just one of the colors and people are already like standing ovation.
Standing ovation.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite as the big excitement and like such a big deal. It kind of felt like, a couple kids on the corner got together and tried to throw a really, tried to copy an Apple thing. So it kind of had this like, it was kind of an endearing quality to it, the whole event. But I was really impressed that they had the head of Instagram and the head of Verizon, both were there, because as I don't know if you know, they did some really good integrations with Instagram in the S10 cameras. That in the cameras, if you go right into the cameras, you take a picture in this one mode or whatever, and it's already like you can just post right to Instagram from there. You have the filters, so basically you have Instagram's camera integrated heavily into the S10, which is a huge deal.
That's amazing. And only Samsung or Google with running Android could really pull this off. I don't see Apple doing that at all. And That's cool. So it was interesting energy at the event, but a very big event for Samsung nonetheless. Do you want to just dive into the phones, like what we saw announced?
I think that's probably the best case scenario. I think we've got like I said, 5 phones. So let's just work through them. I mean, should we do it in the order that they announced them?
I don't know the order. So
okay, so first thing they came out and they got it. I mean, for one, there was so many leaks about this event. I actually stopped reading them because I wanted to be able to have a little surprise left, but essentially people knew most of the stuff about these phones. They came out right away and started talking about the Galaxy Fold because that was the big hyped one.
Yeah, that probably what people wanted to learn about the most.
Yeah, there really wasn't that much known about it.
And I could actually see this too. If you have people live blogging or live tweeting, suddenly the Galaxy Fold is official. That could generate a lot of buzz and attention for the other phones they then announced.
Yeah, that's the headliner of the event, really. So just rather than save it, well, they kind of had a one more thing moment with the 5G phone, but we'll get to that later. So this was really, boom, here's this new phone, 4.6 inch display on the front, 7.1 inch display on the back. It's their new AMOLED thing. The thing about this phone that I want to know, well, it starts at $1,980. When they said that, there was an audible gasp from the crowd, and I think some people were groaning. It was pretty bad. I mean, there was people not applauding, but this moment was pretty cringy.
Yeah, I actually saw that clip of them announcing the Galaxy Fold. And to me, this was just a really funny interaction. Again, as I mentioned, they went nuts for the colors and were confused during other parts of it. My question for you, is this a phone or is it a tablet?
Well, I think they would tell you it's both. That's the thing.
It was interesting. I heard their language. They would say, and instead of using a tablet, I can watch Netflix on my Galaxy Fold.
Exactly.
And instead of making a phone or bringing my phone with me, I can just bring my Galaxy Fold. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. It didn't seem like it was either. It's kind of paving the way for what I guess their marketing is.
Well, I think this is how they're going to justify their $1,900 price is basically by saying, well, see, instead of buying a phone and a tablet, you now have both in one device.
That's
right?
interesting.
And they kept saying luxury device because they really want to push that it is like a luxury device. So they were you could definitely tell that they were trying to be $1,980, it's worth it. They were trying to push that.
Really justified to the audience.
Yeah.
And it had 12 gigs of RAM, a 7-nanometer processor, 512 gigabytes of onboard storage, 2 batteries. I thought that was really cool.
Well, it's because it folds, obviously, they couldn't put a battery right in the middle, so it's 2 batteries technically, but they worked very well to incorporate them in with technology and software to make them operate as one battery.
I thought that was amazing.
6 cameras, right?
Yeah, 6 camera system. Where are the cameras on this? Do you know?
I really honestly am probably not going to be able to figure it out until I get one of these or in my hands, go into a store, try it out, because I was a little confused, right? Yeah, it's basically, if you think about it, they need to always have a camera in the front and in the back. So when it's a phone, right, you have one on the outside of the phone, so the back of the phone, and then you have it on the screen. But then when you open it up as a tablet, you also need to have some front-facing cameras. Or you don't need to, but they wanted to have front-facing cameras.
Right.
So they have more cameras on the inside there, too.
Yeah, and something, I just want to touch on this, something they didn't announce or really even touch on, is there is a huge notch in the unfolded portion of this device.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, I haven't, obviously, granted, neither of us have gotten our hands on it. I think that's going to be the key thing with this device is, what does it feel like when you're doing that unfolding? Does it feel like you're breaking the device? How long does it hold up doing those, They said it does hundreds of thousands of unfolds, but does it?
Yeah, I think Samsung is confident in their design here. I just think it's going to be up to the users, how is the experience using a foldable device? Is it worth it? Does it enhance the phone experience? A lot of the things I was wondering about is common smartphone things, like they demonstrated Google Maps in the keynote.
Yeah.
How do you mount the Fold in your car? Do you unfold it and mount it somewhere? Do you leave it folded up, but then the screen's really small?
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, how strong, when it's unfolded like that, how strong and rigid is what I want to know.
Yeah, and does it snap in or?
Yeah, are you just going to be mounted and then it goes ching, and then you have a little V of a screen you're trying to look at?
I thought it could really benefit from a kickstand or something too, being able to consume media and have it stand up. It it feels like it's trying to be a phone and a tablet. It's like all season tires. It's trying to do everything all at once. And instead of doing everything really well, it's kind of doing a subpar job at everything. People may be better off just getting a phone and getting a dedicated tablet.
Well, I mean, yeah, but are you going to tape the phone to the like on the back? Like it definitely is. There is pretty cool, like seeing the the CEO, I think DJ Ko is his name. I thought it sounds like he's a DJ, but I'm pretty sure he's from South Korea. So like that's like a typical name there or something. I think I'm not quite sure, but seeing him pull it out of his pocket and then unfold it, you're like, oh, that's the wow moment they're going for.
Yeah, I can understand that. How do you feel about the name, the Fold?
They really broke some brain cells thinking of that one, I gotta say.
That's
right?
great. That's great.
Like,
yeah.
That was like, they're sitting in
What?
a boardroom. Hey, anyone got any names? What about the Fold? And they're like, genius. Let's go. Let's do it. How'd you think of that?
This guy's getting
give
a
him
promotion.
raise.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, I mean, hey, they were the first out to market. I guess they can just take the obvious name. We'll see. Obviously, Apple is going to work on one, and basically
think so?
every other company. So
I guess like maybe if they feel pressure to compete, the biggest thing for me is this is a really cool device hardware wise.
Yeah.
This is pushing the boundaries. This is something new.
and software too, because they had
And
to
except,
develop.
well, I want to touch
Okay.
on the software. I think the software sucks from a multitasking standpoint.
Well, you saw I can do 3 different.
Well, yeah, but how well, right? Like, all right, so I've got a tiny little chat window where I can see 2 message bubbles at a time. If I want to type on any screen, I've got a
True.
keyboard coming up, taking over half of it. And the interaction of dragging and sliding apps around just felt janky and weird to me. Definitely a huge rip on the iPad Pro.
It did definitely feel like they were kind of jamming it in there figuratively and literally. I mean, do other Android tablets have 3 like app multitasking? I'm not.
I don't. Is that
Not
like
sure. I
a
don't think they
software
do.
feature coming in an update? Then
Maybe it is. I mean, it does have 12 gigabytes of RAM, so that might be one reason why that's more than a lot of Android tablets.
Yeah, it's probably true. And they are pushing this as a premium device, so it's probably going to stay exclusive to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for me, wrapping up my thoughts, I think the hardware is really cool. I think we have yet to realize its full potential, and I definitely feel like it is limited in terms of software and usability at this time.
I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, my basic thing is watching the the device looks cool, but I couldn't help but feel like this is a Gen 1 device,
Absolutely.
When I look back at the original iPhone compared to where we are now, it's like, how were people excited for that, So I
This
think
brick.
and at the time it was expensive too for what it did.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is super expensive. I think we're going to hopefully see prices come down, or at least features and other stuff finally justify the price in the future, a couple generations later. But yeah, for the those early adopters or for people who've got money to throw around, it's a great thing.
I really look forward to seeing the reviews of this.
Yeah.
And I guess the final question here is, would you buy it, and who is this for?
Actually, I think the real question is, when are we going to see the first video of someone just snapping one in half? Like that's
Unbox therapy.
there's going to be, well, is it Unboxed Therapy or is it like Tech Rex or like
Some of them.
there's
Yeah.
a couple YouTubers that are going to see how many, like the ones who have just money to blow, and see how many you can snap in a minute, right?
Like stack them up and try. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you buy this?
I don't think so. I don't think I would buy it. I think the prices of smartphones are already high enough. I mean, basically, it's arguing 2 devices, but at $2,000, you're essentially saying that's a Mac Pro.
That's a
MacBook Pro.
MacBook Pro.
So does that do the same thing as a MacBook Pro or a very good Windows laptop? My answer would probably be no.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean, I think we're kind of in the same place on where this is, and I think a lot of people are also in the same place of, well, that's a cool idea, but let me, keep working on it, Samsung. I'll let other people buy it for now, and then come back to me in a year, 2-3 years down the
And
road.
I also just can't wait for the people to be taking pictures with it out in public. It just like this sheet of glass, ready to slip and fall to the floor. Oh my god!
It'll be interesting. Also, the cases and the accessories I was going to say that come out will be really interesting. to see
That's
what
going
they
to be
do.
a challenge too.
It's a whole new type of product. So
Okay, what's next?
next, what they did was the S10s. They really. One thing, by the way, for people who did watch it or didn't watch it, they had this really unique setup where, for one, the whole stage was like a screen.
I saw this. It was,
It was kind of like winged out to the sides and then also
I guess
above.
if you were to look at a footprint of an unfolded box.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was.
The bottom of the box was the back screen that you would normally look at, and then the screen extended up and above the stage. It extended down below
was the stage.
where they were standing, and then off to the side.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
It was like a cool design, and it got a little crazy at times. Like sometimes they'd get a shot of the person presenting from the side, and she wouldn't be in front of anything, but she'd be like, because you just wouldn't see her in front of any screen. But then she'd be talking about what was on the screen, so it'd be like, I can't understand what's going on. But the thing I was gonna say is the person who stole the show was this person, Josh. I don't think they ever said his last name, but they had this set over on the side that was like a gray background and a table.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And they had him set up constantly demoing phone. Well, not constantly, but they'd be like, and now let's go over to Josh to demo this phone. And he came back 3 different times, like throughout the unpacking event.
I think I saw him for the fold, and I of course missed the rest of the keynote. But that's really cool. Very interesting take on demonstrating phones in front of the live audience.
Yeah, it kind of felt like almost a TV set or something like that. But it was something different than Apple, which does, they do it kind of as a one stage type setup.
but Craig Federighi's demos, I love those.
Right.
Oh man.
But it seemed like this guy really knew his stuff. He knew what was doing, and the only thing they had a slight hiccup moment was when they were trying to charge the Galaxy Fit or the Galaxy Watch on the back of the S10, and it was like it didn't work. And he's like, "Oh, it's so quick. Let me just." And he's like sweating a ton, going into settings, like how quick as he just like hits something and re-triggers. It was probably some software thing, or I don't know. But who
knows? Okay, so Galaxy S10. That's next. That's a big one. Do you want to like quickly go through some of these specs? Like, what are we looking at here?
I mean, the main thing is it used to be with the S9, it was the S9, S9 Plus, right?
Yep.
And then now you have the S10e, S10, and S10 Plus.
So 3 flagship devices from Samsung.
But they're still competing pretty heavily. Even the most expensive one, the S10 Plus, is competing pretty well with the prices of the Apple's.
Yeah,
iPhones.
what are we looking at for prices here?
I think isn't it $749 for the
$749 for
the S10e, and then I think it's $899 for the S10 and $999 for the S10 Plus. Is that correct?
Actually, I think I do have this noted somewhere.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah,
I have a good memory.
It goes basically $750, $900, $1,000.
Yeah. And then on the upper end, they did release an S10 Plus that has I think 1 terabyte of storage. It can expand to 1.5 terabytes, and it has 12 gigabytes of RAM.
That is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and basically a rocket-powered phone.
These phones are packing the latest internals as well. So it's got Samsung's beautiful OLED displays, some of the best in the industry.
AMOLED.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
AMOLED.
sorry.
I don't know what I just said, but AMOLED displays. They support HDR10+. That's really cool. Samsung is calling this the next level Infinity display, and it is featuring the camera punch-out.
They're calling it the Infinity O display.
Oh, really?
That's what because their last one was the Infinity Q. I don't know something. Or I think the last one was the Infinity display, the one that's on the S9. This one is the Infinity O. I don't know why they call it that. Maybe because the punch-out looks like an O.
That's it.
I mean,
and it's cool when you launch the front-facing camera, it actually circles the camera.
Oh, really?
That's a really cool interaction.
I
was watching Marquez Brownlee's first impressions video,
Yeah.
and this is something he commented on. You switch from the rear-facing cameras to the front-facing camera, and this little light circles around the punch-out where the camera is.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
A very nice feature.
So yeah, otherwise this now on the S10 Plus, you get 3 cameras on the back. You have one that's a wide angle, like your regular one, and I think that's a 77 degrees, 12 megapixels. You have one that's 2x zoom, so probably it's around 50 millimeter equivalent. That's also 12 megapixels. And now the new one is you have a super wide 16 megapixel camera on there as well, which they showed some panoramas with it, and it looked really gorgeous.
Yeah, that looks like I mean this is the future of mobile phone cameras, and I think at this point we're gonna see something from Apple related to this.
When was the original iPhone was released? 2008, right?
2007.
2007. Okay, this is basically 10 years later almost. So that had 1 camera on the back.
Now we're at 3.
So
interesting
basically we're
progression.
averaging about like a camera every 3 to 4 years or so. So you can predict by 2050, we should have, what is that? I think 13, 14 cameras on a phone.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right,
And I
cool.
want to comment here, the main camera and the telephoto camera both have optical image stabilization. The main camera can change apertures. It's got that f1.5 or f2.4, a very cool feature from Samsung. And the wide angle has no optical image stabilization, but does have that higher 16 megapixel resolution. That's interesting, Gabe. What do you think? Do cameras on mobile phones need higher megapixels? Are we fine with 12? It seems like we haven't seen a leap in that in
I'm
quite
not
a while.
quite sure why they did the 16 there. I think, I don't know, it probably had something to do with the design that they could put a slightly bigger sensor, or maybe they realized, I guess with landscapes, you might need those extra pixels,
Like for
right?
added sharpness.
Yeah, because you get in a lot of information. It's a wide angle, so maybe that's why they did it. I also think that it's interesting that, it's interesting. It's really cool that it's an HDR10. They all shoot. So you can watch it on HDR10 in the front, the new whatever content's coming out with Netflix or Amazon, but it also can shoot HDR10 plus.
That's really amazing to see. It's
It's
like I feel phone cameras are evolving faster than proper DSLR cameras.
yeah, they almost are. I mean,
Like, what is happening right now?
yeah.
All phones feature the new Snapdragon 855. And as we were talking about earlier, the S10 comes with 8 gigs of RAM and starts with 128 gigs of storage, goes up to 512. The Plus starts with 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and again, can be bumped up to that 12 gig RAM model with 1 terabyte of internal storage.
Yeah. And what do you think about the 10e phone?
Okay, I have very mixed feelings about this.
Yeah.
First, I actually really like the design. I think there's something really nice about the symmetry, the way the bezel kind of goes all the way around the phone. Maybe I'm unique here. Maybe that's a unique perspective, but I really like the symmetry of it. I think having the fingerprint reader in the side power button is a terrible idea. They should have kept that on the back, in my opinion, or preferably gone with the new fingerprint
The
reader.
ultrasonic under the glass.
That was amazing. Should we touch? I'll touch on this a little bit. So in the new S10 and S10 Plus, Samsung has introduced an under-the-glass fingerprint reader. This is something we've seen before from companies like OnePlus, but OnePlus was using a different kind of technology that required your fingerprint to be illuminated. So you can imagine lying at bed, it's the middle of the night.
Basically, it was optical.
Yeah, so it's optical. That requires light to bounce off your fingerprint. You're lying in bed, you want to unlock your phone, you just get this pulsing bright light right where your finger is.
That's what I want in the middle of the night when I go to unlock my phone.
Yeah, this is because you can see it, then you know where the phone is.
Yeah.
No, but it was slower. So this new technology from Samsung is faster. It requires no light, and I think it works really, really well. And the fact that they had to sacrifice that to keep the price down for the E is very disappointing to me. I think S10 users are going to be super happy with that experience. And the E, having that in the side, I feel like it just makes it weird to unlock if it's on a table. It's just like a weird position, and it's not going to be as premium as an experience.
Didn't they at one point on one of the older devices have the fingerprint unlock on the side?
I don't know if they had it on the side. They had it on the back before.
Which phone did? Because there was some phone that had it on the unlock button on the side.
I know.
And you kind of like slide it across.
Samsung had, you could slide your finger across the home button. That started, I believe, with the S5.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
And I don't think they ever, this is the first time I can remember them putting it on the side. And there are some phones, I believe the Razer phone, for example, that has a similar mechanism on the side. And maybe it's okay, maybe it's fast and great, but I really think Samsung hit it out of the park with the new technology, the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor that's under the glass.
Yeah. I think they should have definitely tried to include that, because that is such a really unique feature right now. If they could have somehow put that in the cheaper phone, that would have been really awesome. Obviously, people are having a hard time justifying paying the prices that these phones are.
They're absurd.
So the more that they can do to make that entry level one enticing, they're not really, they don't have the incentive, because they want to get people interested in their phones and get them into the ecosystem, but they ultimately want them to buy the more expensive phones. So it's kind of like if you make that entry level one too feature packed, then they're not going to buy the upper. It's a delicate balance. I get why they didn't do it, but yeah. Anyways, the thing. When are we going to see these phone sets in?
So we are going to be seeing these phones starting March 8th. And how do I know this? That is the day my spring vacation starts.
Oh, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Looking forward to that.
Free at last for 1 week.
Of course, reviewers online are already going to have their hands on these, so we can expect...
Spencer, you're a reviewer online. Why have you not gotten one?
Drop the ball on this one,
I'm
Gabe.
also a reviewer too, so don't turn that question back on me.
Okay, we'll just keep it focused on me. Yeah, drop the ball. No.
Yeah. One day.
I think these are great. How do you feel? 12 gigs of RAM, 8 and 12 gigs of RAM. This is insane. Do phones even need this much?
Well, by the way, no, I was gonna say are they going to introduce a feature on the S10 where you can run 6 apps at once?
6 more apps than the Fold.
You can't even see they're getting so small you can't even see the individual
That's
windows.
right. Each icon is actually a live running application.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. I think the reason you're getting the more RAM is to do all the AI and stuff like that, especially for the photos. They were showing how the camera can automatically recognize the scenes and optimize photos mode, and it can I think they said up to 30 different scenes it can recognize, that's getting pretty high up there. I mean, most just regular cameras, granted, it's not even AI, it's just like basic like kind of setting stuff. It only has like maybe 8 scenes.
Absolutely, like landscape, macro. It's amazing. Again, I feel like phone cameras are just improving so much more rapidly than actual cameras. I'd love to see some of this stuff be baked into a camera. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, and one thing going back to the Fold, we forgot to mention, the release date for that, isn't that like April 5th or something? It's a little ways off.
Yeah, we're going to be waiting on that
for a little bit. And also, now jumping back, I'm jumping all over the place. We're unpacking this box, and
Gabe,
we forgot
I see Gabe sitting in front of me, but he is actually
jumping,
bouncing off the walls.
I'm jumping so fast it looks like I'm sitting still, but I'm actually jumping back.
So he's just like vibrating in place.
Exactly. Going back to the S10, the one feature we didn't mention is the wireless charging.
Oh yeah, so my iPhone can wirelessly charge. Is this the same as that?
Oh yeah, it was never. No, got you. It's not. You can actually, with these new ones, they put basically the same coil in the S10 that there is in their wireless chargers. So guess what? If you have one of their buds, or you have one of their watches, or you have a bud like a buddy who also has a phone which can wirelessly charge, you can set that on top of your S10 and it will wirelessly charge from that. What I think it's 4130 milliamp battery or whatever, maybe 4300.
Oh wait, I have these written down. Keep talking and I'll find them.
Well, basically, they made the battery big, trying to justify that you charge up another device, but it really doesn't seem that big. So this is definitely kind of just more of a cool feature, I think, and something you might use in a pinch.
S10 is 3400 milliamp hours. S10 Plus 4100 milliamp hours. Those batteries are powering very bright,
1200 nits
of brightness,
which is really bright.
That's ridiculous.
There's just to give not a really reference because no one really knows this, but the top like camera monitors that you'd buy for a camera, 1000 nits is usually really bright, and that's a dedicated monitor where like literally the only purpose of the thing is to be bright enough to see in like daylight, so you can see what your camera is shooting. So the fact that it does 1200
it's bonkers.
That's crazy.
And to put this into perspective, 1 nit is the brightness emeted from one candle.
Okay.
So go ahead, lock yourself in a room, lights off, light that candle up.
Get 1199 more in there. You might want to call the fire department for it because I'm going to guess they're going to be needing to show up after you're done with that.
When your sprinklers go off.
Yeah. So we do not advise trying to do this with candles, but we do advise trying to do it with the Galaxy S10.
So Gabe, let me just get this straight. Samsung Unpacked event.
By them, by the way.
They released the most expensive external battery banks of all time. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it essentially, you pretty much nailed it.
So I'll just pick one up and I'll just keep my iPhone 10 charged up with my Galaxy S10.
I would love to see someone doing that.
Oh, keep them both in the same pocket. The nice glass on glass feel. They'll just be charging. Oh man,
that would be great. All right, well, let's go to the other stuff they released because after they got through, I mean, the S10 lineup, that was the big thing that everyone knew they were going to release.
Those are the flagships. Those are competing directly with the iPhone XS and 10R. So the S10e is priced the same as the iPhone 10R.
Yep.
And then the other flagships are actually a little bit less than the iPhone 10s and 10s Max. So
many S's and 10s and
oh my god.
You know what I was thinking about
Who
that's
names
really
these
interesting
things?
when they're for this release is kind of the way we've ended up positioning. Like, I mean, Samsung and Apple are the two biggest companies for smartphones in the U.S. market
That's correct.
right now, at least. I mean, obviously, Huawei has surpassed Apple
OnePlus is getting up there.
in overall devices sold. I was
Maybe
gonna say.
Google.
Yeah, so there's other ones, but basically what you have is you have Apple September, so 6 months out of the year, then their phones are the newest. You have Samsung February, 6 months their phones.
Well,
then
and-
they have the Note though. The Note is the one little what is going on there because they released that
Gotcha.
basically a little bit before Apple's, and I think basically what that is so that going into the holiday season, Apple doesn't have entire like we have the newest phones. So they're just being like, all right, we'll just throw one of our other really good phones.
One
in.
of their million phones they released in a
right.
year.
So I don't know. That was kind of a really interesting thing that I thought it's somehow broken down into this like perfectly organized system.
Yeah, it's great for the media too. Like they get the iPhone frenzy in the fall. They get all their clicks up.
Yeah,
and
now
then,
they're going to have articles.
Oh
I mean,
my
I
gosh.
bet if you look right now, Samsung Galaxy S11 rumors, there's probably already articles up though. People
my
are
gosh.
always wanting that next.
Too soon.
Yeah, stuff
And
coming out.
how can we forget IP68 water resistance still has the headphone jack, fast charging and fast wireless charging, and our daily sponsorship for the episode, Swappa Galaxy
Get
S9.
out of here. Cut his mic. Cut his mic.
Stop. Seriously. All right. Think in your head. Yes. Last year's flagship, right? That was going for at
This
least
is literally sounding like an ad read.
$750. How much do you think last year's flagship from Samsung is going for right now?
200. No, I realistically last $750. Realistically, I'm gonna say. I mean, granted, I know you're trying to say it's going for more, but I would say probably like 500.
We're seeing it unlocked for $374.
Wow.
And Verizon all the way down at $310. Now these are the cheapest possible prices, but
So
that's
when you're going with a
steal.
reliable
$385,
one, it's probably
$400.
okay, so we get it. You like Swappa. All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
moving
Swappa.
on-
Looking forward to that partnership.
Moving on, after that event, they for all of these, they had different people coming out and stuff like that. So finally, one thing, like I mentioned earlier, is they had the head of Instagram, come out to announce that big partnership where they, basically allowed
For the camera
Instagram-
integration.
yeah, to integrate. And it was kind of funny when that happened because they just said, I forget what the guy's name was, but it was like David from Instagram.
Instagram or Facebook?
Well, no, it's from Instagram. Oh yeah, I know this. Facebook owns Instagram, but they do try to keep.
Yeah,
them
I'm kidding. I'm
pretty
kidding.
separate. All right,
Please continue.
Sorry, you put me so off track there. But basically, yeah, whoever the woman was who was leading the whole keynote, she was like, and we're gonna have David from Instagram come out and talk about it. And then he's like,
Thank you, David.
Hi, I'm David so and so. I'm the head of Instagram. And everyone's like, she didn't announce that he was the head of Instagram, so everyone just thought it was like, oh,
Some guy,
They
David.
grabbed David from the desk, like up front, the whatever. And then he's like, I'm the head of Instagram. And everyone, that was actually something that got a genuine applause, I felt like, because people were like, oh my gosh, this is like the head of Instagram.
Whoa.
This is a big deal. And that's why I was like, this event had some like substantial stuff going on. And the other thing I realized we missed mentioning in the S10 is a big thing for video makers is they actually have Adobe Rush. They partnered with Adobe. And so Adobe Rush is now on your phone. They have a specialized version for the S10. And that's a big deal because I know Apple has iMovie, but one of my biggest gripes as a video creator and social media person is that there's nothing to edit video with on an Android device. So having something like Adobe Rush, I don't think you've ever used it, have you?
I have never used Adobe Rush.
I just the other day was like looking through all Adobe's apps and I was like, let me try this out.
So you're like, you saw in the future, all right, this is coming soon. Let me get my head around it. How does it work?
I mean, it was odd that I did try it out, but it wasn't for me. It's very much beginner based and kind of like the quick editing style, but having that on a phone is really nice.
That is really nice, especially with these good cameras and they shoot 4K video, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've talked about them enough, so maybe we should move on. But before we do, I want to wrap up with Would you buy this, and who is it for?
Okay. All right, that's a good question. I'll shoot that back at you first because I answered.
Am I
first.
buying this? Yes.
Are you returning it then 7 days later?
I will be buying it, and you will find my listing on Swappa after I have filmed the unboxing and gotten my use out of it.
Yeah, so neither of us are probably looking at this. I think this is definitely... I mean, I could see a lot of iPhone users, who have maybe held out 3 years now, and their phones kind of are starting to slow down, or battery, they've replaced it, but maybe it's starting to get old. They could be looking at it because these phones are really enticing.
These are extremely compelling phones, and I think regardless of what you think about the notch or the hole punch, they look gorgeous. They are full feature, fully packed. They have the headphone jack. I think this is a big win from Samsung, and I can see a lot of anyone who's an enthusiast, instant upgrade. Anyone who just has enough money to throw around, instant upgrade. I think people with the S8 or older, this is going to be it's expensive, so maybe, again, swap at S9. But, if you're looking for an upgrade, it's clear this is a new design trend. This is the new phone. The specs are insane, and it's going to last you a while. And they also introduced Samsung One UI, kind of a new take on their TouchWiz operating system. In fact, it's a new skin, basically, that enhances the features and functionality for using these larger phones more easily with one hand. And I think that's really cool to see. And this is just a big win from Samsung.
Yeah. Samsung 1, everyone else 0.
Until the fall.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
And until whatever else comes out this year. Yeah, moving on. The next thing that they introduced was the Samsung Galaxy Buds, which are AirPod competitors and are $50 cheaper than AirPods. They're only $129. I think AirPods, aren't they usually $179?
AirPods, I believe, are $169. I think they're at that $170 price point.
Either way, they're substantially cheaper than the AirPods.
And
they come in 3 stylish colors, and they have a wireless charging case
that you can charge with your phone,
with your expensive power bank.
Yes, excuse me, my mistake. I misworded that. I don't know what words jumbled.
The new S10 power bank.
And if you reserve your phone, pre-order it. If you go to Samsung's website as you're listening to this, there's a slight chance you can get free Galaxy Buds with your order.
Yeah, and also with the Galaxy Fold, I'm pretty sure they're always going to be including free Galaxy Buds.
Oh, they better.
Right? I mean, they should give you
they should
free
give
tour
you
of the company.
A free phone in there, too.
Yeah, give you the S10 just for fun, because why not? Or just give me an older, like S9 I'll take, too.
Yeah, apparently they're pretty cheap now.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Buds looked pretty cool. It's really interesting with these, like, they're trying to always do the same thing, right, as Apple, but, like, they have to have their own design. So they seemed pretty interesting. Like, they looked like a decent design. I'm pretty sure they had 2 microphones in them. They said one on the inside, one on the outside. I wasn't quite sure what they meant by that, but basically it was so it could adapt the noise. So I think there was actually one on the inside of the Buds, so it would hear how loud the music sounded to you. I'm not quite sure.
Is this like adjusting the tonality or the loudness of
the
the music?
Well, it's basically like, if you're in a really loud environment, it's going to up the music volume if you have that dynamic.
That's interesting. Noise? Is there any noise cancellation with these?
No noise cancellation, and it's only a 6-hour battery life.
Okay. Are these truly wireless Buds? Like I can, they're not connected in any way?
They're not connected. Yeah, they're just like the AirPods, just like whatever other ones from other companies. But yeah, the severing the tether between it in all ways, in that you don't have to charge them with wires, you don't have to have them connected with wires, and I don't know what other ways it could be.
It's a wireless world.
Yeah, or they're boldly embracing it, except for with that still having the headphone jack.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I think a lot of people will appreciate that, and
they could have sold a lot more of these Buds if they got rid of that headphone jack.
Something tells me if they're good, they will still sell a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because they're included, and everyone who's pre-ordering right now will get them regardless.
Yep. And moving on, the next thing they went to was the 2 new watches. Well, actually, 1 new watch, and the other one is a fitness tracker, technically. They were very clear to make that...
distinct.
Make that differentiation. And so basically, it seems pretty cool. As someone who owns a Fitbit and has a Fitbit, the one thing was nice is that the fitness tracker actually had a week-long battery.
Oh, that's very impressive.
And it was a full color display type thing.
So what you talked about they made the difference very clear in the presentation. What were some of the differentiating features? Like,
well, do you have the specs on them? Because I don't really remember the specs, but
Okay.
what I do remember is that basically they were very clear in saying that, with the Samsung Galaxy Watch, you get the full watch experience. Emphasis on full
watch experience.
And then with a fitness tracker one, with the Galaxy Fit, this is more geared for people who are, looking to track their fitness. I remember both of them are waterproof, so you can take them for a dip, go swimming with them. And of course, both of them are wireless charging compatible. So like I was saying earlier, during the keynote, they actually had the presenter come over to where Josh was sitting, the MVP unsung hero of the show, Josh, and take off her watch that she just conveniently had on, and then hand it to him, and it did eventually charge from the phone, but it took him a second. So I mean that's a really cool thing, being able to charge I don't think charging a person's phone is very, like, maybe in a pinch, but really the cool thing is being able, if you have the buds or you have a watch and you just need to charge it up, those are pretty small batteries, so that won't completely drain your phone.
Okay, I'm not seeing the fitness one on the website, but I found the Watch Active. This to me looks like a modernized version of the Moto 360. It's got a circular 1.1 inch display with a resolution of 360 by 360 pixels. It's got a 45-hour battery life, comes in black, silver, rose gold, and green. Is 25 grams. It's got 4 gigs of internal storage. And it is, quote, military-grade durability, water and dust resistant. It looks good. It looks like a good smart watch from Samsung.
Yeah.
And again, it's weird their website isn't the best.
No.
And
Well, the watch is also, comparing it to the Apple Watch, it's a round interface. Just for people who aren't familiar with it, kind of to describe what they look like. The watch is it's a traditional round design, right?
It's a traditional round watch design with a round display, and it does have a little bit of a thicker border, kind of like the S10e would.
Yeah. And then the Fit kind of looks like, basically it almost looks like one band completely, like the actual band of the watch blends seamlessly into the display, and then the display is this kind of long, slightly curved to your wrist display that is actually a color display. I mean, it's a black background, but it has actually color icons, unlike the Fitbit Charge, which is only one color.
This reminds me a little bit of the, I want to say, Jawbone Up.
Yeah, a little bit, I would say, but definitely a better screen. I mean, I don't know comparing.
It has a full color AMOLED touch display.
Yeah. And
yeah, this looks like a compelling fitness tracker, I guess, that really deserves a better website. Wow, this is abysmal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's not spend too much time on discussing the visual horribleness of their
the
website,
abomination of the
that
web.
doesn't transfer well into a audio medium.
The products are very cool. Website keys improvement. All right, let's wrap this segment up.
And that was the end of the event, right? You would think.
You would
Wait,
think.
No.
Well, before we get there, would you buy this, and who is it for?
Well, it's definitely obviously for people who has a Samsung phone.
Android users who want
Yeah, I mean,
fitness tracking.
There's other Android fitness watches and other Android, watches in general. I still think probably Fitbit. If you want a fitness tracker, probably the Fitbit is the best way to go.
I think the community makes that really compelling.
And just I think the cross-platform compatibility.
Yeah.
Really, you can go on your computer, you can go on, an Android phone.
Oh, wow.
iOS device, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think I would not buy it, but I definitely think someone who, is into the Android ecosystem, and especially if someone who's in the Samsung Galaxy lineup and loves Samsung, yeah, this is a great watch for you, for sure.
All right. I guess I would say, yeah, if you want a Samsung, you want to watch, this is the watch to get. If you own an Android phone and you want to watch, this could be a watch to get. If you don't own a watch, great. This could be it. If you already own a watch, you're probably all right. Or you want it.
What about if you're a sea captain who spends 200 days of the year, okay, on a boat, like a small boat, okay, like maybe let's say 12 feet long, like so it's actually not a sea captain, more like it's a fisherman who just goes out daily in the harbor, and you live, let's say in I don't know what's a good country. Let's say Israel, right? You live in
Okay.
Israel, so I'm thinking like something that's on the sea, so you have to be able to go out and fish. And Israel's on water, right? Yeah,
It is now.
it is now. We just global warming, boom, and us not knowing stuff. No, I'm pretty sure they do because they have a really good seaport there. So yeah, this is a sea captain or fisherman in Israel. Say he doesn't actually exercise at all. He does own a Samsung Galaxy S7, and but he doesn't use it. He actually threw it out and said, "Get rid of this witchcraft from me." Should he get this device?
Yeah, so if we're in that kind of situation, I'm not sure if they're sold there. I definitely don't even know if they could deliver there. He may just want to get the phone first.
Yeah, and maybe just come to grips with what current technology does.
Hold off on the watch.
Yeah.
Okay, and one more thing. Is that
Yeah,
right?
they basically did a one more thing type release. I know I think I'd mentioned on an earlier podcast that they might be, or maybe I just mentioned it to you. Honestly, our conversations in like off the podcast and on the podcast are kind of blurring, but I'd mentioned it at some point to you that they are going to possibly be releasing the Samsung Galaxy X, which was a rumored phone, and no one really was sure about it, but basically the only thing they knew was that I was going to have a 6.7 inch screen, which is bigger than the S10 Plus. And so that is actually what they did do. They released the S10 5G. This phone is, like I said, huge, a 6.7 inch display. The standard S10 Plus is only 6.4 inches, just for comparison. And like I said earlier, the Fold is 7.1. So,
I have 7.3 for the Fold.
okay, maybe 7.3. That's what I meant. I've been switching ones and threes all day. But anyways, this is a very big, very premium phone. It has a 4,500 milliamp battery compared to that 4,100 milliamp battery on the S10 Plus. And it has 5G, which is huge, except for right now, currently, there is no 5G out there.
So it will be huge.
It will be huge. Yeah, this device isn't going on sale anytime in the near future. They haven't even given a specific date. So they said in the first half of 2019. And my guess is that'll probably be pushed off with, the way that 5G rolling out has been going. I'm guessing that it's going to be pushed back.
I think that's a good call. It was a very interesting device to see or not see, as we won't be seeing it for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, if you want a new phone, the S10, the S10 Plus, and the S10e, those are going to be fantastic options. I think it's yet to be seen the true benefits of 5G, and I think it's so new that it's almost not worth getting just yet.
Well, I think this was really, for me, the beginning stuff in there was, the middle stuff like the S10 and the buds and the watches, that was cool. But for me, what I was saying earlier about this event feeling like kind of like a big landmark thing, and actually like a key, like earning the name keynote, like something that you should be like paying attention to. It was the Fold in the beginning, which was like a first. I mean, not a first, but
So wait, someone might say they sandwiched this unboxing event between two announcements.
yeah, a little bit, or unpacked.
They unpacked it and then folded it
I
right
don't know,
back
that
up.
pun did not quite work.
I gave it a shot
I'm
and
gonna
it just
give
fell flat on its face.
I'm the Russian judge here, being really critical. I'm going to give it a 5.5.
That was like deflating a balloon slowly when it should have been
career
popped.
as a pun master.
I'm just gonna
Anyways,
stop now.
continuing on, before I got interrupted by that horrible pun, what I was saying was that I really thought that having the Fold in the front, a revolutionary device possibly. We'll see if it flops or just folds and withers away. That was also a horrible pun. I've caught your sickness. And then having the 5G phone at the end, really, like, it made this event, as someone who's watching it, like, it was pretty cool. I mean, they were talking about with 5G, you're going to have AR, you're going to have, so much more stuff that's going to be possible with 5G. And this phone really, because of where they positioned their launch in the year, it's one of the first. It's launching exclusively on Verizon. Like I said, they brought the head of Verizon out.
Actual 5G network.
Yeah.
Cough. AT&T just erasing 4G and writing 5G.
That works, doesn't that?
That's not quite how it.
Placebo effect.
T-Mobile coming out with 9G.
Yeah. People just start like, what does it even matter? Like,
how many Gs?
Yeah.
I just want to remind everyone, you can also connect to Wi-Fi with these devices.
Well, they do have. That was one big thing is they have Wi-Fi 6. So that's even faster Wi-Fi
Yeah,
protocol.
they rebranded all the Wi-Fi, so there's no BGNA,
Yeah,
AC.
thank God.
Now we have numbers.
Yeah, it was
and
like
it's
802.1.0 AC. Like, yeah, it was out of control.
802.11n, 802.11 AC.
B. Like, they were just, yeah. They finally, yeah, they fixed the Wi-Fi naming thing. So it says all these phones have the new faster Wi-Fi. But I really think one thing also that they have in the new 5G version is you have 3D depth cameras on both the front and the back. And so they're really positioning this device to be good for AR. You know, it's a bigger phone, so it's there, you know, big is the trend with phones. So it's more for the future, you know, more content, stuff like that. And then having 5G, yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I don't think you're really gonna see the benefits for a phone like this till maybe a year or two down the road once 5G becomes a lot more common. But it's just a cool thing to see. And I would advise people, if they want to see a cool video, go watch, I don't know what it was called, but it was basically the video they wrapped up their event with. And it was a kind of a video that almost was as moving as some of Apple's ads. And it, you know, it had...
Almost.
Yeah, almost, right? Samsung, I feel like their motto with these keynotes would be like, we're almost Apple. But basically, yeah, it was a really nice video. They had some song in there that was pretty moving. And then just lots of shots of like people doing cool stuff with the phone and just kind of like imagining what the future could be. So yeah, overall, I would give the keynote, I would say this is one of the best keynotes probably in the last 5 years, honestly.
From Samsung or just in general?
Just in general, really.
Wow.
They kind of knocked it out of the park, and the devices we'll see, you know, I mean, obviously the folding one, the Samsung Fold, and the 5G devices we won't see for at least a month or two. So it's going to be a while till we see about that. I mean, how interested are you? You do a lot of reviews of carriers and stuff like that. How excited are you, or like interested are you in seeing 5G come out?
That's a really great question. I think what 5G comes down to for me is, first of all, it's an entirely new network they have to build. So unless you live in a city, you're not going to see the benefits at all. And really what it comes to...
Right away.
Right away. And even then, like, it could be a while, and like 4G LTE, in my opinion, is plenty fast. I've used Cricket with a capped data speed of 8 megabits per second, and that was totally fine for my usage. So I think what it comes down to is if you live in a city and you're constantly on your phone, which many people are likely, and you get 5G, I think that is where you're going to see the biggest difference. That's where getting this device is going to be worth it. If you live anywhere that's not really a huge city, I think you're going to be fine with what everyone's been using for years.
Couldn't the argument be made, because you were saying you were fine with your usage at 8 megabits per second,
yeah.
Right? Couldn't the argument be made that usage is going to change as we see the rollout of 5G? Like with app developers and smartphone makers being able to all of a sudden have access to a lot faster data connection.
I guess I can see that for sure. And I think the other big thing is actual phone carriers rethinking how they provide data. The biggest thing I see on my channel is some people will actually use their phone as their sole internet source. Yeah. Like, you're paying a pretty significant amount monthly on the phone. You might as well opt for unlimited data and then just use that to replace your Wi-Fi, which is how some users can get super high data usage on their phone. And with 5G, if that can really support these faster speeds and have a robust network, I could definitely see carriers in the future like, hey, maybe your phone is your internet source. You get home, you just drop it on a wireless charging pad or dock, and then all of a sudden you have Wi-Fi throughout your house. Something like that. I don't know. It's kind of out there. Again,
no, I'm pretty sure at the end, like when of his kind of like speech when he was up there, the Verizon guy was mentioning, the head of Verizon was mentioning something about like the broadband home of the future or whatever, something like that, the 5G broadband home of the future, which is, you know, obviously these carriers are really excited about, you know, expanding what they can sell you.
Yeah, all right, we're going to have a monthly subscription for everything.
Well, it's interesting because like a carrier like Verizon, right? There's Verizon that, you know, the cell phone company, right? But I'm pretty sure there's a different company from the Verizon that gives you your landline and Fios.
Yeah, so it's Verizon Wireless versus Verizon Fios.
So it'll be interesting to see as like, because they're owned obviously by Verizon, and then I'm pretty sure isn't Verizon owned? I don't know. These companies are stacking up faster, like Russian nesting dolls. It's getting out of control, but it'll be interesting to see how they deal with like competing against each other in a little bit, because that's kind of what's going to happen, it feels like.
Yeah, we'll really have to wait and see. And I think until Apple really jumps on this bandwagon, I think it's going to be a slower rollout. And then once the iPhone gets it, I think we'll see it accelerate in rollout. We'll see it accelerate in usage, and we'll see it accelerate in benefits and what people are able to do with it.
Definitely. And also once they actually get it in some cities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So would you get this phone though?
I would not get this phone. I think it is
And
expensive.
I don't even know if did they give it a price?
I can only assume it's going to be more expensive than $900.
Yeah, it will probably, I guess, around at least.
And given the other
1,200.
options and what I perceive to be limited benefits or improvements, I personally would not buy or recommend this phone.
But you would, maybe if someone had the money,
if you have the money,
if you're in a city though.
Why are you even asking this question?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
You just get all three,
Okay,
and
all
then
right. Enough of the attitude. No, but you'd definitely be better for someone who's in a city where they're going to roll out 5G. Obviously.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that. That's where you'll see the difference. If you have millions of people all clustered together hogging bandwidth, 5G could really make a difference.
I'm pretty sure I heard, wasn't it 1 million users per square kilometer? Isn't that some crazy stat like that?
Something nuts. 5G could really help with that. And also going through buildings. We saw T-Mobile rolling out band 12 support. That's a lower frequency band.
Yeah, so it can penetrate.
And that has higher penetration through walls, so that helped with indoor reception. I think 5G could provide similar benefits for other carriers as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting for the future. I mean, we're only barely 2 months, like little over 2 months in, not quite 2 months in. I don't know how I want to say
February.
That. It's February, basically.
20th.
Yeah. So, 2019 is still young. Samsung really, CES came. CES is kind of just a tease about
It's a blip.
what could be happening 60 years from now, possibly. It's most of the stuff never makes it to your actual, consumer products. But this is stuff that you will be able to buy before the end of this year.
This is stuff people are pre-ordering.
And you're pre-ordering right now. You could be pre-ordering. So very exciting, I think. Ultimately, that's my overall takeaway from this.
I thought this was a very exciting event. And so the physical design of the Galaxy series phone, I feel like hasn't changed significantly in a long time. But seeing the evolution of the display and the refinement of the design has been awesome. And I think this is an extremely compelling device from Samsung, even given its higher price tag. I think it's right on point with the trend of higher priced phones. I think this is what people are looking for. It looks sick, and I think it's going to sell really, really well, especially for Android fans.
Yeah, one thing I just want to shout out to is them and point out is that they did the same thing that Apple did with the wallpaper of, on the S10 phones, because it has that punch out in the right corner. They have a wallpaper that just very conveniently, I don't know how it happened.
It's not even one wallpaper either. It's like
several different the design overall for their wallpapers on the S10 is basically it fades to black in the right upper hand corner, so that guess what? You can't really tell that is there even a punch out there? Like, is there a camera? Like, it's just one continuous screen, right?
Next week on Quick News, we have some woman suing Samsung.
Well, Apple did get sued, right?
That's my point. Exactly. Someone sued.
Because they did the same thing with the notch. So apparently they don't learn and are just trying to do the same thing over and over again. But
it's a phenomenal display. I think this is going to be a phenomenal phone. It's an unbelievable design. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes next.
Yeah, and we're both. We're raving about it and talking about this. Granted, we love technology, but we're both iPhone users, and it's even to us, it looks like an exciting phone. And honestly, the video capabilities of it and the video editing are the big thing I've been waiting to see, because they really have. Android has lagged behind for creators, so I think that's a big up for that.
I think it really resonates well with Samsung's motto. Do what you can't. They've had great.
Isn't their motto do what you
what you can't?
No, but it's like do. I don't know what it is. It's like a 2-part motto. I thought. I know it's do what you can't, but it's just like I don't know. Anyways, yeah, it's something do what you can't. Something I don't remember. My brain is jello by now after watching all their different stuff and reading about Samsung all day. So yeah. I thank you guys for listening to this bonus episode. Hopefully it wasn't just a complete rambling on of us.
It was not. This was a phenomenal podcast experience.
All right, you can't just trump this.
Unboxing and unpacking.
This is the best experience I have ever talked about. The best podcast that you have ever listened to in my life. I will not have it. I don't know. That's a horrible
Thank you
trump.
so much for joining us for this
Save me.
special bonus episode of Pinch to Zoom.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed.
Yeah.
If you liked it, share it with one friend.
Or someone who needs to know about the new phone.
Absolutely. Is curious to learn more. And Gabe, what's our social? Where can people find us?
We're still at the same places until we get Pinch to Zoom. Just that short username. We're still at Pinch to Zoom Pod on Twitter and Pinch to Zoom Podcast on Instagram and Facebook on. Yeah, no one uses Facebook. And then you can email us in your tech questions at pinchtozoompodcast@gmail.com.
Send us a question and you could hear it answered on a future episode.
And you also could just hear us reading it and making fun of you too.
That is also a very real possibility.
That won't happen. I guarantee it. I will not let that happen. Mark my word. Two episodes later, we're just like cyberbullying someone
Oh
over
my
our
gosh.
podcast.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
All right.
I got too
Thank
real.
you so much for listening. We look forward to speaking to you in the next episode.
Yeah. Privately. Through your little earbuds. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.